Well, this is awkward. What is. Oh my goodness. Guys, I have got gremlins all over the place. I've just got gremlins all over the place. Welcome. Welcome back. Welcome to the channel. You know, if this is your first time on the channel, yes, I am this inept a lot of the times. We have tools in place for when I am having a hard time, but this was a brand new one. I don't know. My computer just kind of like had a weird lag on it. And yeah, I honestly don't know what happened there. But hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. This is my channel. If you're into true crime, but you like to cut past the fluff, the sensationalism in the genre, in the hobby, you've come to the right place. We like to get into the nitty gritty. I've got more gremlins. I'm hoping my buttons aren't going to work tonight, guys. Wow. Boy, I'm having issues. Having issues. Hey, tonight we are going to be taking a look at a case that is actually it's been covered by Court TV. It's been covered by Nancy Grace, by Law and Crime, but it's now just starting to get legs amongst the channels like mine. And this is I want to give a warning on this. The victims in this case, and there are many, they are newborn children, most of them premature. They were children that were admitted into the neonatal intensive care unit, and one of the people who was entrusted to care for them, allegedly, was doing the exact opposite. So tonight we are talking about this case. It is the case of Erin Strotman, the Virginia neonatal nurse who, according to police, really damaged a lot of these little kiddos, the most innocent among us. Oh my goodness. So I think that what I want to do first, I've got documents to look at, we've got videos to look at, but because this is the first time that we're looking at this case on my channel, maybe what we should do is just kind of dive in so that we know what the case is about. Okay? Now, remember, we do discussions here on this channel, so, keep lively over in the live chat. Put a GF on anything that you want me to see, okay? But for now, we're just going to come over here. The victims in this case will remain nameless. They will remain faceless. They are, it's the understatement of the century to call them juveniles. They are little ones. And so we're going to be using the name of the alleged perpetrator in this one, and her name is Erin Strotman. So let's just kind of dig into it. Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman is 26 years old. She's from Chesterfield County, Virginia. As of now, she's a former NICU nurse at Henrico Doctors Hospital in Richmond, Virginia. Henrico is apparently how you say that word, but they also say things like Buena Vista, so we're just going to deal with it, okay? And to me, that says Henrico, but they say Henrico in Virginia. So she worked at Doctors Hospital in the Richmond, Virginia area. It's actually in the town of Henrico. She is charged with, oh my goodness, I did this too quickly. Look at that typo. She is charged with 12 felony counts of maliciously wounding these newborn children. Then, of course, she's being also charged with CA and also neglect. Officially, she has been charged with the victimization of 5 infants, but we'll get into why there could be way more. They just don't know, okay? Right now, it's up to 9 that they suspect. And at the tender age of 26, Elizabeth Strotman is facing up to 100 years in prison if she is convicted on these. So this is what happened. In 2022, at Doctor's Hospital in the NICU, there was an infant who they're calling AW, who was injured in the NICU. One of the major and by injured, I mean like there were broken bones, stuff like that. Okay. I'm not going to get into like those kinds of details, but like it was serious. It wasn't just, I mean, with a child that tiny, premature children, it could, even the littlest thing is an injury, but these were major injuries. Okay. Beyond the fact that police alleged she was injuring the child, the hospital knew about it, knew that the child was injured on their watch, and did not file a report with Child Protective Services, which they are mandated to do. Okay, later in 2023, 4 more infants sustain fractures. And the hospital basically narrowed it down. They identified that there was only one nurse who was a common caregiver to all 4 of the victims. And so, suspecting her, they put her on paid administrative leave. They did eventually file a CPS report, but they delayed it. While she was on paid administrative leave for hurting these children, by the way, she attempted to get a private caregiving job as a nurse. Like, I feel like this person is mentally not quite there, right? Okay, so the next year, 2024, Strotman is reinstated. She's brought back under supervision. But just a couple months later, over the course of November and December of 2024, 3 more infants were injured. But unbeknownst to her, while she was gone, they installed cameras. And this time, surveillance cameras captured what she was doing to the children. At that point, Doctor's Hospital there in Henrico completely just stops admitting any patients into the NICU. Okay, so in January, she was arrested and charged. And I think this is the part where we should go over to a couple documents, okay? Let's run over to this one right here. So this is, bring my buttons closer to me. This is from the Henrico Police Department in Henrico County, Virginia. And it's from Chief Eric D. English, the chief of the Henrico Police Department. And we're going to go down first to this statement. Okay, so in December, the day after Christmas of 2024, this is what the police said. Henrico police have been made aware of an internal investigation involving Henrico Doctors Hospital's neonatal intensive care unit. Detectives within Henrico Police's Special Victims Unit have been assigned to follow up and investigate to determine if there are any criminal violations that have occurred. At this time, no charges have been filed. Henrico County is prepared to utilize all available resources to ensure a thorough investigation. Henrico Police are partnering with CPS within Henrico's Department of Social Services, Virginia State Police, Virginia Health Department, and the Attorney General's Office. By the way, the Attorney General's Office is going to play into this here, like into why we have so much information on this case. Okay, and the Attorney General's Office to ensure all evidence is examined meticulously. We are committed to protecting our residents, particularly our youngest and most vulnerable. And then it concludes, due to the sensitive medical nature of this investigation, additional details will be limited until the investigation is concluded. Okay, there was an update on just a few days later on New Year's Eve. It says, all of the previously closed cases related to these incidents have been reopened as part of a recent broader investigation. All of the families involved in this current broader investigation have been notified, to include those from 2023. All right, and then we will go up here, and this is from January 3rd, okay? Henrico police have arrested and charged a Chesterfield County woman in connection to an ongoing investigation involving a Henrico Doctors Hospital's neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU. During the course of the investigation, detectives identified Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman, 26, of Chesterfield County, as a suspect in the case. Ms. Strotman faces charges of malicious wounding and felony CA in connection to an incident that occurred in November 2024. So that was the first one, right? The first one that they charged. Currently, the Henrico County Police Division is utilizing all available resources to ensure a thorough investigation into this matter. This involves reviewing dozens of videos from inside the NICU. As previously mentioned, detectives are re-examining the 2023 and 2024 cases as part of this broader investigation. We appreciate the families and public's patience as we work as thoroughly and expeditiously as possible to investigate every piece of evidence in connection to these cases, said Henrico Chief of Police Eric D. English. I would also like to acknowledge the unwavering efforts of our detectives who continue to comb through hundreds of hours of footage, and extend my sincere gratitude to Henrico Child Protective Services, Department of Social Services, the Henrico County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, Virginia State Police, the Virginia Department of Health, and the Office of Attorney General for their assistance in this matter. And then it goes, we're not going to release much more because it's sensitive. Okay. Now, let's see. I think, no. We're going to do the next document before we get back to the overview. Okay. So this one came out just a few days later, January 7th. This one was in regards to some social media hubbub, okay? Henrico Police is aware of editorial social media videos discussing the Henrico Doctor's Office NICU investigation. These individuals in the video claim the victims were targeted by the suspect on account of their race. The preliminary investigation indicates that this information was not factual. The allegation that was happening was that the little babies, oh my goodness, that were being targeted were black. And, the chief was like, nope, that is not the case. So as with any investigation, the Henrico County Police Division is utilizing all available resources to ensure a thorough investigation into this matter. This involves reviewing dozens of videos from inside the NICU. Due to the sensitive nature of these cases, specific information, including race, gender, type of injuries, etc., is not able to be released. Detectives do not want to compromise the investigation moving forward. We understand the feelings and emotions this investigation has generated for our community members and beyond. Yeah, said Henrico Chief of Police Eric English. We kindly request patience as our detectives work to investigate every piece of evidence in connection to these cases. The Henrico County Police Division is working seamlessly with our partners, including the Henrico County Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, to investigate these cases. We will not be deterred. And then it just, blah, 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 yada, yada. Okay. So let's come back over here for a second, all right? Okay. So she is arrested and charged right there in the beginning of January. January 2nd, I think, is the day that she was charged. And then a bond, well, we'll get to this. The bond was granted, she was basically granted bail in February. Now, there have been indictments since, and so there's more stuff there. This is really just kind of a very preliminary timeline of events. Okay, so what is the evidence against Erin Strotman? Apparently, there is surveillance footage of her twisting the heads, bending the legs, and rough handling of the babies. The criminal complaint also alleges that weight was applied to the infants' legs and heads. There were some disturbing texts disclosed at her February bond hearing. One of them, not all of them have been released, but one of them that happened during her administrative leave said that she's been pacing like I did cocaine again. She also says, self-diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I'm literally manic. And then January 1st, the day before she was arrested, she said, my therapist's office is closing and I'm like 5 seconds away from checking myself into crisis. So this just appears to be a young woman who is, she's just disturbed. She also, there's also, in regards to evidence, she does use Xanax and Zoloft. Now, I mentioned that the hospital didn't report on the crimes. So the Virginia Department of Health and CMS, they actually did an investigation. They found that the hospital failed to prevent the abuse of the children. I'm sure that the families of these children are probably going to have some kind of civil case. They delayed, I was typing this quickly, reporting to CPS. They reinstated Strotman despite having concerns that she was the problem. The corrective actions they took was they said they did some training, they installed the cameras, and they paused the NICU, admissions. Now let's pause here for a second, and I want to take you over to this video, okay? This here, let me bring up her website here real quick. Should have brought that up. Okay, so this is Shannon Taylor. Shannon Taylor is the Commonwealth attorney in Henrico County. Now, also, let me just look this. Let me bring this page up. I hadn't thought to bring this. Shannon Taylor is also running for the office of Attorney General in Virginia. So, the reason that I bring that up is it is likely that the reason that we have so much video of Ms. Taylor, I don't know why we don't say doctor for attorneys. They have a Juris Doctorate, for crying out loud. Why don't we say a Dr. Taylor? I don't know. But Ms. Taylor, she's running for Attorney General, and I believe that is the reason why we have so much video of her talking about this case. So this video we're about to watch happened on the 13th of January, and it was published by the Richmond Times-Dispatch. So I think it's just a couple minutes long. Let's go ahead and have a listen.
So from the last time we were here, I think that all the media outlets have done a good job. You're doing your job, which is following up on some of the aspects of the story. And one of the lines of rhetoric that had been circulating was the race of the babies that was involved, the babies that, were involved in this matter. And Chief English did give a press statement last week. It was done with the concurrence of myself and my office to let the public know that there was no truth to that rumor, but we also did not want to engage in any details regarding race, gender, ethnicity, anything else regarding the specific demographics of the children involved, or the children that may also be brought to our attention at a later time. So I believe that that is what we were referring to. I know that that was at least what the Commonwealth was concerned about. And certainly when the judge was talking about the law and what the considerations and the factors are of the law, we do think about primarily two things. We think about the safety to the community, and we think about whether or not someone will actually return to address the charges that have been put forth. And also in that consideration can be the record of an individual. It can be the evidence that the Commonwealth has, what we call the strength of the case. And those are all the factors that were discussed today, whether it be the lack of criminal history, whether it be what the Commonwealth argued was the strength of the Commonwealth's evidence. And certainly when we do talk about the safety to the public, there was the factor of the safety to the individual charged. And that is what we all heard Judge Williams speak to today.
So what she's talking about here is they had a bond hearing and she was not given bond. So the reasons that they had there were the safety of Ms. Strotman, the safety of the community, and other issues. But she was not given that bond originally. But then in February, she was given bond. It was granted. It was a $25,000 bail. It came with very strict conditions. She was to be on house arrest at her parents' home. She was to have ankle monitoring with GPS tracking. She was to have no contact with minors, vulnerable adults, or her boyfriend. Now, I'm not quite sure. I mean, I understand why there was no contact to minors and vulnerable adults. I mean, this is a person that was trusted to do no harm, to care for the most vulnerable. Of course, the court takes these allegations seriously and does not want her anywhere around anybody that is vulnerable. I don't know why she was kept from her boyfriend. This was a closed hearing, of course, so there were no cameras in there. We have no idea why they argued that, but they eventually, got that. Now, I'm going to take you over to another video that, again, is Shannon Taylor. We had the benefit of her running for office, so she's talky. This is about a 6-minute video of her, and this is on February 12th, the day that she was given bond, and this was broadcast by WTVR CBS 6. Here we go.
The assumption is if the judge looked at that report and let her out, there was nothing in there to suggest she had some severe mental health condition that she was a harm to herself.
Well, I can't speak to the specifics of the report, but anytime that there are either medical, whether it's medical or behavioral issues, and people are either seeking treatment or going to seek treatment, those of course are factors that can be taken in consideration. But it's one where if you are seeing a treating physician, you must continue to see that treating physician. And this is information that of course must also be validated by CCP. So there will be no leaving of a home to seek any type of medical treatment if it is in fact not verified through CCP.
And she must submit, one of the conditions that she has to submit to drug and alcohol testing. How often will people be going to check on her?
That is, we defer to CCP and their expertise.
And do you know when she may bond out? Are you given any indication?
No, we have communicated with the families that we will make sure that they are aware when that has happened, and we will keep in touch with, we will keep in touch with the jail staff to know when that has happened. But as we indicated earlier, because the court has put in numerous conditions, there are certain things that must be complied with before she can be released.
So someone has to pay the full $25,000.
And part of that is paying that surety bond. That is correct.
And is that refunded at trial or something like that?
If she complies with what's happening, then the money can be kept by the bondsman because it's only 10%. However, generally speaking, if someone does not come to court, then that full amount of $25,000 is the responsibility of the bondsman. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Wait, so the family only has to pay $2,500?
The law allows, if there's going to be, well, let me rephrase that. There are various ways that people can do what we call post bond. One of those ways of posting bond is utilizing a bondsman, which generally speaking, they will accept 10% of the full amount. People have also posted using property or paying some other amount as negotiated by a bondsman. Because remember, if it's a bondsman who signs off on the surety, then it becomes the bondsman's responsibility to make sure that the individual is obeying all the laws of the Commonwealth and will in fact come to court.
Is she at East or West, do you know?
It's probably for today's hearing, and probably because she was given an opportunity, she's likely being held next door.
And she'll bond out of here.
Probably, yes.
Is a GPS monitor essentially an ankle monitor?
Yes. That is the system that Henrico Sheriff's Office uses, yes.
When she bonds out, will she just be coming out the front door?
She could very well be. I can't speak to that. That's a sheriff's that's a sheriff's action.
That next date coming up in May, will that be the trial?
That is what we call the preliminary hearing. And when we talk about how charges come forth, and we talk about felony charges coming forth, they can either be through a warrant where you have a preliminary hearing and then the matter is certified to circuit court, or you can have what's called a direct indictment and you go straight to circuit court. When you talk about the warrant, you have either the regular general district court or you have the jurisdiction of the juvenile and domestic. And because we're talking about minors as our victims, then we are talking about starting in juvenile court.
At the last bond appeal hearing, Allison mentioned there may be
Keep
more
that part in
charges
mind.
forthcoming by March.
Starting in
What's the status
juvenile
on
court.
I do believe that Ms. Martin, when she talked about March, she made that reference because to the court, that indicates that we have another grand jury. In Henrico County Circuit Court, we have grand jury every other month. So we just had grand jury in January. The next grand jury will be March. And as we have indicated to not only to the families, but to the general public, we are continuing to work on this investigation. So if there are more charges coming forward, we can, the attorneys involved in this case, including myself and Ms. Martin, we will talk about whether or not we believe it is more appropriate to do what's called a direct indictment, or do we think it's appropriate to figure out if we can combine charges for a preliminary hearing and issue warrants again, but have them all heard at the same time. But we're not at that point yet to determine what the timing of all that
Would
is.
that be a condition to revoke bond if more charges are coming?
So the law allows that bond conditions can be revisited if there is new information. And one of the things that was talked about this morning was whether or not additional charges could in fact be that new condition, or excuse me, new event that has happened, new circumstance. And it's we'll just have to see, because it could coincide with the timing of whether or not Ms. Strotman has been complying with the conditions. And a court could find that just because there are additional charges does not necessarily mean that we would hold her without bond, because she has proven to the court that she can follow the court's rules. But we'll just take it one step at a time.
With a direct indictment, does that mean police could go arrest her again and this kind of starts over?
So generally speaking, when we have had circumstances where we have had an individual who has been arrested on a charge and who has made bond and has been following the conditions, we normally will arrange them to turn themselves in, is what the term we use. We will arrange for them to come to court to have the paper served, and then the court could say that the conditions of the previous charge are now going to be placed for this particular charge.
So you're saying Sheriff Everhart is going to be making sure Erin Strotman is complying with her bond?
I can assure you that when I was a defense attorney, and I would like to think for any of my colleagues who do defense attorneys, when the stakes are this high, you want your client to make sure that they are dotting every I's and crossing every T.
Okay, so getting back over to kind of where we are. So that's what happened when she was given a bond. That was a press conference that Ms. Taylor held after the bond hearing, and then she was given bond. Okay, so the next thing that happens is in March, she was her bond was modified to allow supervised boyfriend contact, also in March, which I didn't put on here, I should have, she was indicted on more charges, and that indictment was read. It's a brief video, again by Ms. Taylor, and I'm going to just bring it up here real quick. This is about a 3-minute video. It's the further charges that came against Ms. Strotman.
I am ready.
This afternoon, the grand jury returned true bills against Erin Strotman, the
This was
nurse
March
who was
11th.
working at Henrico Doctors and who has been involved in the NICU investigation. So today on March 10th, a grand jury in Henrico County returned true bills for the following indictments. 1 count of Class 6 felony child abuse regarding baby YH for actions on or about November 10th, 2024. The maximum statutory penalty for Class 6 felony child abuse is 5 years of incarceration. 1 count of malicious wounding and 1 count of Class 4 felony child abuse for injuries sustained by baby YH on or about November 10th, 2024. The maximum statutory penalty for malicious wounding is 20 years of incarceration, and the maximum statutory penalty for Class 4 felony child abuse is 10 years of incarceration. 1 count of malicious wounding and 1 count of Class 4 felony child abuse for injuries sustained by baby LM-B on or about October 29th, 2024. The maximum statutory penalty for malicious wounding is 20 years of incarceration, and the maximum statutory penalty for Class 4 felony child abuse is 10 years of incarceration. 1 count of Class 6 felony child abuse regarding baby AV for actions on or about November 13th of 2024. The maximum statutory penalty for Class 6 felony child abuse is 5 years of incarceration. These matters were addressed this afternoon at docket call, wherein they were carried over to the next hearing date, which is a status date, which is on March 20th. And I believe that was at 9 o'clock. The lawyer, Mr. Everhart, who was the current attorney for the pending matters, is also now the attorney of record for these new charges, and he did appear with his client. The 2 felonies that are pending in Juvenile and Domestic Relations Court for the preliminary hearing set on May 12th of 2025, those matters will be brought forward. We will have them withdrawn. It's called null pros in the juvenile court, and they will be presented to a grand jury, and those direct indictments will then be brought forward to be combined with the new charges from today, so that there will no longer be a hearing on May 12th. This is still an ongoing investigation regarding the babies who were identified as victims in 2023, as well as any other actions for these events. We continue to work with Henrico Police Division, Henrico's Child Protective Services, through the Department of Social Services, and the Virginia State Police. We made a promise to these families that we would continue to work on this matter, and I continue to keep that promise.
Very political. Very well done. Okay. So the next thing I want to bring up is in April, just a few days ago, some more charges were added, and the prosecutor asked to revoke bond. That request was denied, and so bond, she continues to be out on bond. There is a 1-minute video again from Ms. Taylor that I want to show you guys from the 22nd of this month, so about a week ago today.
With the 22 family, again, knowing that they had had a baby born at Henrico Doctors Hospital in the NICU, they brought their information to their family attorney, and through the civil process of obtaining medical records for that baby and having an expert review those documents, that is how that child was brought to the attention of law enforcement. We, again, with our plea, had asked families to come forward when we would have families come forward, whether it be directly to me or if they were going directly to Henrico Police. We always made sure that the Detective Lynch in this case, was being provided all of the information. So this is not a situation that from 22 that there was any discovery at the moment in 22. CPS was not contacted in 22, but certainly a family that was concerned about what was happening brought this to the attention and now is part of our investigation and part of the charges that are now before the court.
So, I mean, I think that they're probably going to find more and more and more here. I think that Ms. Strotman probably was a busy little criminal. I don't mean to like really play that down, but like she was busy. Now there are a couple of, I've passed this. Let's see. Yeah, she did have Pinterest boards that revealed that she had kind of this idea of getting married and motherhood. There are lots of agencies involved in this: the Attorney General, the State Police, the CPS, the Henrico Police. If you are in the Commonwealth and you have any tips, or if you just have tips here, where you can go is to police@henrico.gov, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 804-780-1000, or you can go to p3tips.com. Certainly, I encourage you to do that if there's any chance that you might have any information that might lead investigators to file more charges, true charges. Please do that. So what's going on now? Well, investigators are continuing their review of the NICU footage. It is possible that more charges could come out. As far as I can tell, there have been no civil suits yet, but I imagine that will happen eventually. They'll probably wait until after if there is a conviction. Speaking of conviction, Ms. Strotman waived her right to a jury trial. Instead, she is scheduled for a bench trial next February, and the judge that has presided over the hearing so far will be the judge that presides over the bench trial. What is a bench trial? It's very simple. Instead of a jury, it's a judge. It's not like a panel of judges. It is a judge. The prosecution and the defense make their cases to the judge, and the judge acts like a jury and judges the facts and the credibility of the witnesses and comes down with a verdict. I don't know why she would choose to do that. I honestly think that you have a much better chance of getting off in front of a jury of your peers. I really do. We just don't know the law the way a lawyer or a judge does. So I don't know why she would choose that, but that is what she has chosen to do. And with that, I think I have covered all the videos that I've prepared for you. I've covered the documents that I prepared for you. Now I want to get on over to your comments. And let's do that by turning this off. Hey, let's turn on the sub count. Check this out, guys. We're almost at 117,100 or 200. We're close. Pretty cool. Okay, so let me just kind of scroll up here and see what. Yeah, no worries is what Chris. Let me bring up this picture. This is a picture of her walking into her recent hearing. Thank you guys for being cool about today's technical snafu. All right. Yes, it was Jimmy, guys. For those of you who've not been around for a while, this house, my goodness, this very house that I am live streaming from is an old, creepy, Victorian haunted house. We have one house ghost. His name is Jimmy. And sometimes Jimmy's like a little, he just likes to engage in shenanigans. That's what Jimmy's about. Autumn knows. Mooney knows. Definitely Autumn was about to send the SOS line. Oh my goodness. Heck, Jess, I'm glad that you've got a good sense of humor about it. I've had a rough couple days. Well, Kimberly's home, so things are going to steady out again at the old fish homestead. But yeah, today was just another nice busy day. I hope all of you guys Jess, I hope you have a better evening than you had a day. All right. Brenda B., such a horrible human being. If she did indeed do the things that she is charged with doing, what has happened to our humanity? Yeah, the whole idea of these kind of these predatory angels, right? The people that we are supposed to be able to depend on to care for us. These career fields actually are most enticing to those that are the most sympathetic, the most empathetic, the people that really care about people and humanity. And just every once in a while, one gets through, man. One gets through, and it's pretty infuriating for sure. Keep on going down here. Cooler by the Lake, a retired RN, one of the people that I was just talking about, empathetic, sympathetic. She looks like a child herself. She's 20. She's only 26, and yeah, you're right. She does look like a child. I'm a retired IN. I can't wrap RN, and I can't wrap my head around this. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to wrap your head around this. This is just way beyond the pale, right? What's wrong with people? Indeed. They were major injuries to babies born premature. Yes. Fractures. Twisting heads. Applying weight to their head and their legs. Yeah. Shay saying, I'm so tired of adults hurting children. They're angels on earth and should be protected. What's wrong with people? Yeah, there's something that has gone wrong here. And I'm not making an excuse for it, but there's something that has gone wrong in this person's life, in this person's head. Not an excuse. She definitely, if she did it, she needs to pay the consequences of it. And man, I just hope that the children, I read about one family that was so afraid of being charged themselves with the CA of their child that when their baby was born premature, they did not touch the child at all. The child was whisked to the NICU, where apparently Miss Strotman touched the child and fractured the child. It's just crazy. There are a couple families, by the way. There are a couple of families that have gone public. I have not included their names or their faces or even their statements on this one. I just want to give it a little time. I think that we can eventually talk to these people. They have gone public, and I want to get their story out. Just for this first one, I wanted to get the official kind of story out. One Man's Trash says, most of these hospitals just pass these devils along and never say a word for fear of parents suing the hospital. That has been known to happen. I don't know if it's most of the time or most of the hospitals, but that has definitely happened. You're correct. Roberta said, my baby had to stay in the NICU and I always had a family member to stay with her. Good on you. Yeah, I can't imagine, well, see, you should be able to trust the hospital. That's the thing. Now, with me and my wife, no, it would never have been okay for the baby to be out of our sight for any reason whatsoever at all, ever. Just was not okay. So each of us, but then again, some people deal with deep depression after they've had a child, and they deal with all sorts of emotions. There's so many different hormones going around in their bodies. They don't even know what to do, right? So, I mean, we need to extend grace to everybody for having different feelings and different reactions. But yeah, in this case, I think, Roberta, your strategy would have protected your child from terrible, terrible things. Meredith, I do not believe she has children. No, I do not think she does. I've not been able to, that's never been mentioned in anything that I've read. So I guess I should say I do not think she has children. Right now, Meredith, the total victim count is it's at 5 confirmed, 9 believed, and 12 total incidents. So those 5 victims, 12 incidents. That's what I understand. Can the parents of the victims sue the hospital? Yes. Yes. And I think probably they will. Laurel Dockall says, Gavin, I was a risk management manager and RN for a large city health system. This would not have happened under my watch. I audited a large percentage of random cases and any unusual outcome. It's sad. Yeah, I would be curious to know, Laurel or Laurel. I have a niece who's named Laurel, but it's pronounced Laurel because of where they live. So I don't know how to pronounce your name properly. But I wonder what kind of safeguards, what protocols, what procedures they have in order to protect children. Because you would think that there would never be just one nurse in an entire NICU. Like, I wouldn't want to be that nurse. I wouldn't want to be the one that is where it's possible that a finger could be pointed at me and me be innocent, right? So I'm curious what they did there. Mooney says they're esquires. Isn't that enough? Esquire doctors? No, esquire is not enough. They are doctors of law. I think we should call them doctors. That is my personal crusade, I guess. Mostly because I'd like to work toward a Juris Doctorate. I've toyed with that so many times. It'll probably never happen. There's so much work that would have to go into it before I even got to law school. Anyway, Autumn says her boyfriend didn't want anything to do with her anymore. Okay. Heck just says, so she can't get pregnant maybe. Oh, maybe there is something about that that's triggering. I don't like that whole idea of triggering, but you guys know what I mean. Maybe that's it. It's so difficult to know. Meredith asks, did she plea yet? No. Does she have private counsel? I wasn't able to tell in the stories and everything that I read whether this is a public defender or private counsel. I don't know the answer to your question, Meredith. I'll look into it because I have a feeling this is not the last time we're going to be talking about this case. All right. Dana says, Gavin, I live in Virginia and wasn't aware she was running for AG. I think the national attention is why she's out there face forward. 100%. 100%. There is no Commonwealth attorney, district attorney that on purpose goes and stands in front of the media unless they are running for office. It doesn't happen. As a member of the media, let me just tell you, that does not happen ever. It's during election season that all of a sudden district attorneys start to want to talk to me. It's it's really funny. All right. Kimberly says our hospitals are so competitive here. Yeah, I mean they are competitive. They are competing for dollars, and this is Richmond area, so it's not like they're out in the middle of the sticks. In our area, basically in every county, there's kind of one healthcare provider. There's not tons of competition. Let's see if there's anything else you guys have before I go. Sufi Shadow Bunny says, Gavin, check out the Lucy Letby case in England. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry that there are so many cases like this. Glitters Forever thinks that I should go to law school. There's so much work that would have to be done. I would love to do it, and I have a friend I go to church with. He's somebody that I bounce ideas off of a lot. He has told me that I should do that. What I would really want to do is I want to go to medico-legal death investigation school. That's the thing that I really want to do. I've been trying to work with my county coroner to come on as a deputy so that I could go and take those classes. Tabitha says hospital NICUs may limit parent visitation to certain hours. This was the case with my friend's babies. 3 in total in 2 different states. Yeah, I imagine there are different rules in different places. Carmel says, wasn't she tested for mental health before getting hired? She apparently passed any screening that they had. That's a Nope says that they grew up in a haunted house. Don't need to convince me of shenanigans. Our house ghost is friendly. It's Jimmy the friendly house ghost. He's a good ghost. We love him. Sufi Shadow Bunny, I live right there. In fact, I have a civil case against unemployment there. Ooh, if you need anything or if it goes to court, I can definitely update you. This is wild. My sister lives right by the court. Okay, Sufi Shadow Bunny, you can be, listen, okay, let's take a minute for the obligatory, go over to my website, Sufi Shadow Bunny, go over here, click on this little icon right here. That will take you to a form. And if you want to be our person with boots on the ground over there, just fill out the forms, shoot me a quick message, okay? And I will invite you into a Slack channel where we can talk about that stuff with the whole team, okay? So, in fact, that goes for anyone. If you ever want to be boots on the ground, like if you're in Kissimmee, if you are, I don't know, in Moscow, if you're anywhere where a case is that we're looking at, South Carolina, and you want to be our correspondent there, reach out. Let's let my team vet you a little bit, and then we'll invite you over into our Slack channel, okay? And anytime you want to contact me for any reason, this is the way you do that, okay? While you're here, guys, this little button right there takes you over to the fish tank on Facebook. That's where we hang out on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, you are cordially invited. And then don't forget, all over the website, the very front page, don't forget Crime Cod, guys. Click on through to Crime Cod. That's my true crime website, and sign up for the newsletter. Okay? That's it. That's all of my shameless self-promotion, okay? But Sufi Bunny, I'm serious. Definitely do that. We need correspondence. All right. Do we have any other that I have missed? I think I'm caught up. Oh, let's see. Dana says, well, my sister is a reporter and covers politics. I would disagree, but fair enough. And this area is definitely not in the sticks. Yeah. And you know what? Thanks for disagreeing respectfully. And I hope that you felt the respect that I give to those that I disagree with as well. Sufi says, I can go. I live near Henrico. As I said, I have a civil case. Okay. I'm telling you, we need correspondence on this channel. I have a terrific team. You guys know this. I have a terrific team of mods and of social media managers that volunteer for me and do all sorts of fun things. The things that we are really missing, there are 3 things that we're missing. We're missing on-the-ground correspondence. We're missing some more researchers. And we are missing writers for Crime Cod. I had a bunch of people want to write for Crime Cod, and I had one person that did a great job on one article. I would love to have more writers for Crime Cod. So reach out to me, and I'll see if we can get you in get you vetted and get you in our Slack channel. Okay, guys, we are going to be circling on back to the Madeline Soto case tomorrow. We've got some documents that have just come out in some prison documents, some jail documents regarding Stephen Stearns that we're going to get back to. We're going to circle back around on that tomorrow. We will be here at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, there will be no little gremlins. There will be no house ghosts wreaking havoc. Hopefully, it'll all go off without a hitch. thank you once again for bearing with me as I work through. Let's just check one quick time. Where are we at now? Sometimes it falls. Sometimes it falls before it goes back up. But we're right there at 117, 192. It's pretty fun to build a community like this. It's just fun for me. I love that you guys are sticking around. I love it that you're part of my community. Okay, so hopefully you like this content. If you do, I hope to see you tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I bid you adieu. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.